That liberation movement ceased to exist in 1990 when we attained our independence. There is a distinct difference between SWAPO of Namibia and SWAPO Party. SWAPO Party came about as a result of this constitution, and so did every single political party that came into existence after independence. There are many of us who have been members of SWAPO Party, veterans, and we are still proud to be so. That was that era of the liberation struggle. This is a new era of IPC, which is a government in waiting, and we are preparing ourselves for that. As we go around the country, we have been able to witness the tenacity, the convictions, and the principles of our leaders as they congregate together to comply with the requirements of our constitution in IPC. We are now proud to tell the Namibian nation that IPC that came into existence on the 2nd of August, less than 8 months ago, is now able to proudly say we have got representation in every single region in this country. The only political party to achieve that chose independence in a short period of time. We are able to proudly say the 4 old regions, each of them has got its own regional leadership, and all its constituencies have got their own constituency leadership, and they've got their own leaders in the branches as well. We are proud to say that last week, we captured Zambezi, the entire Zambezi. With its leadership already elected about 2 months ago, we were able to welcome 350 new members. Yes, we only projected the 104. That's what they captured. But we had to stop people from the floodplains coming to the event because it was against the COVID regulations. So more and more people are being recruited today in Zambezi, and we will be proud to mention to you that the constituency of Sibinda has got 31 branches in the whole constituency of IPC. And those branches continue to grow everywhere else. As we are gathering together here, I can tell you too that at the same time, and congratulations our people in Aranos, Maltaye, Gohas, Rehoboth, Kalkran, Hardap has its own regional conference today as well. And we send our regards to them, and we know that they will be electing a leadership that will be able to sweep the whole of Hardap to IPC. We are also aware that since the existence of our leadership everywhere else, in Okalongo today, the leadership of Umsati is visiting Okalongo. And they are doing that in every single constituency of the region of Umsati. And today, the commander of Oshikoto, Armas Amkoto, is today visiting Onipa, having started visiting Oshikoto constituencies to make sure that he introduces the leadership of IPC and also our constituency leadership to the people of Namibia. After the elections of the regional leadership, the task then starts to make sure that we incorporate an understanding and clear understanding of the IPC rules and procedures in the participatory democracy of our citizens in the grassroots. And that's why these visits are taking place. We have been 2-3 weeks ago in Oraniamu, and the entire Karas was represented, every single constituency was represented. And we were able to say that we have been in Erongo, the mighty Erongo, where everyone was represented as well, and we've got our leadership under the commander of all commandos, Alios Kangulu. We have succeeded to make sure that this party has grown clearly in a short period of time, well organized. And those that were asking and saying, we are quiet, we didn't want to come onto the political scene in Namibia and start floating and repeating the mistakes of all the other political parties. We came to make sure that we consolidate our base first before we start paying attention to a number of things. We want to make sure that our leadership, our people are conversant with our constitution as our guiding principle. Many of the political parties went down because they failed to understand one principal thing. And that one principal thing is this: that we are ignorant of the very rules that binds us together. As long as we don't know our rules, we are like a whirlwind, traveling around with no direction at all. And as leaders, you are bound by this constitution to ensure that we stick together, that we have got collective leadership, and that we adhere to our principles as a party. Many of the people will be walking around the streets calling themselves that they are IPC. Yes, I dare you, and I dare you all who wants to aspire to be leaders of this party, that the grassroots of our people shall ask you the simple question: who is IPC? What shall be your answer? Why do you want to be a member of IPC? What are you going to be telling the people of Namibia? We are not here because we want to be leaders. We are here because we believe in the convictions and the principles of a united, unitary state where everyone lives peacefully, irrespective of our diversity, ethnicity, racial origin. We are here because in our diversity we find a strength that binds us together and truly makes us proud patriots. But what is it that binds us together? What is IPC? IPC is a national, generational, transformational movement for change. It is change that we want. We want change because we came to the consciousness that there has been a failure in the current administration for over 30 years to ensure that they implement the policies of this government. We are here together because there is a clear betrayal of the ideals of a unitary state, of the ideals of socio-economic development. We are here because we believe that those who died for this country, our heroes and heroines, didn't die so that we can be betrayed and sold away. They did not sacrifice their lives throughout the generations, from the Mahareros and the Vetboys, the Pumbus, from the Kutas and the Fumas, from the people that marched all the way from the Orange River down to come and settle under Hermanus van Wyk in Rehoboth. They did not come and settle there so that they can be betrayed by this generation of this current government. We are here because it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter which political party you belong before, what you did in the past, it doesn't matter who you are, tall, short, we are all equal in IPC. We are premised on the principles of grassroots participatory democracy, where we believe that the power of our people is one that projects us into the leadership. You are all here because you exercise that principle within our party, where your branches and your constituencies elected yourselves to be able to represent them here. And as representatives, you are not here to excel your own interests. We will be here to save our people first. When we were in Zambezi, myself and the IGNGS went to mingle with the new recruits of the party. And when they told me, CP, we haven't eaten yet, I told them, I shall not eat until all of you have eaten. We told them, NGS shall not eat until everybody else is eaten. And what they refer to as the top table remained without a plate of food until everybody has eaten. As leaders, you serve your people, just as you say in that slogan. Do not use some slogan as a way of shouting in order to be accepted. You use those slogans to ensure you understand what they mean to you and what they mean for the progression of this party. We also believe in democracy. It is democracy within our constitution and within the constitution of the Republic of Namibia that will be able to see that we've got a leadership in this place. I kept on saying, knowledge speaks and wisdom listens. But you also need to understand that knowledge is part of competence. And when you come and elect through a democratic process leaders, you want to elect leaders that are competent. And what does competence mean? Yes, some of our people that has been working onto the policies understand competence to mean you must be knowledgeable. Only when you are knowledgeable about the principle that guides you can you speak. Only when you are knowledgeable about the Constitution of the Republic of Namibia will you be able to respect the interests of the rights of the people of this country. It doesn't matter in which walk of life you are, whether you are a councillor. If you are ignorant of the Constitution and the principles that guides us, you will never serve our people. And knowledge has to be supplemented with skills. You must have leadership skills. You must be able to look at the competence aspect of leadership as skills to be able to lead people. People are led by those that empower them, not those that impose and dictatorial tendencies as we have seen amongst the leaders of the current regime in Namibia. Those that refer to others as, I'm older than your mother. None of your business. It is our business when we lead people, and it's the business of our people to ensure that we represent them. You must also have the right attitude towards your fellow human being. And that's why we understand in IPC one of the basic principles is dignity. Dignity and respect for your fellow citizen, for your fellow patriot, and dignity and respect for what you do in respecting yourself. If you cannot respect the people of this nation, you can even not start to lead them. We also need to understand that integrity is fundamental to our people and to our country. Throughout the period of liberation, from 1967, when the United Nations General Assembly declared South Africa's presence on the territory of Namibia as illegal, Namibia was described then. Throughout the 1971 International Court of Justice deliberations on Namibia, Namibia's integrity and territorial integrity was described then. In 1976, Resolution 385 was adopted by the United Nations. At the same time, in 1967, they also created the United Nations Council for Namibia, which created the United Nations Institute for Namibia in Lusaka later on in 1976. All those events has had Namibia as a territory and its boundaries defined. Throughout Resolution 485 and every one of the resolutions, the only issue that was outstanding to be negotiated is the territory of Walvis Bay. In 1976, we used to say no independence without Walvis Bay. Yes, in 1994, it got incorporated into Namibia there as part of Namibia. Never throughout that entire history was the border of Namibia in the Zambezi region with Botswana discussed as a disputed territory. We respect that our Kutas, the Moroliswane, Shimwine, the Likuta of Mamili, the Shias, the Mayeris. They are our traditional leaders. The Kuta in Luvukalo was established in 1652, the same year that Jan van Riebeeck dropped at Cape Town with his ship. That very same year, there were no Germans, there were no British on this territory. But our traditional leaders had their cattle grazing along the Chombe River. They shared borders peacefully in existence. Our Hamkushu people with their Fumas were grazing their cattle alongside Kongola in the Chombe rivers. They know their borders. It is wrong, unacceptable, and a demarcation of our country by pulling a line across. What is so different from what His Excellency Hage Geingo's administration did then with Masisi of Botswana, His Excellency? What is so different from what they did compared to what the colonialists did in Versailles in 1884? When they sat down and in the state interest pulled a line across borders in Africa, to demarcate Africa during the grapple of Africa, they did not take into consideration the interest and the rights of the people who lived in those neighborhoods. They simply pulled a line. And the disregard and disrespect of the Kutas, the 4 Kutas in Zambezi, is unacceptable. And we have stated in Katima last week, the boundaries that has been drawn by the administration of Hake will remain unacceptable to IPC until our leaders in those areas have been properly and according to the law consulted. The traditional authorities have had authority over those territories for so many years. And yet, they were not even consulted in 2018 when those borders were discussed. At independence, His Excellency Sam Nujoma didn't discuss it. His Excellency Hifikepunye Pohamba did not discuss it. Why is it right now that His Excellency Hake Geingob saw it right to discuss it? This very constitution allows us to respect the territorial integrity of the Republic of Namibia. This respect of the territorial integrity is a fundamental principle within Article 1 of the Namibian Constitution, which says that we have been formulated sovereign with ultimate power to decide our affairs, democratic, just, and governed by the rule of law. Which rule of law did His Excellency Hake Geingob use? To go and sit on a table and pull a line across the Chomba River to determine where our boundaries are. That conduct is a breach of all of us constitutional integrity, of the boundaries of our country, and should never be accepted by any right-thinking mind in our society.